Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a second look at the Ag Scout series from AerialMediaPros.com. Today we'll be using the Ag Scout Premium, but if you have a Pro or Basic, any of the tutorials that you see today are going to apply to those as well. So we want to quickly run through mapping and how easy it can be to create 3D and 2D maps using DroneDeploy, which we highly recommend for mapping on these platforms. So let's take a look at some of the equipment that we have here. Of course, we have our copter with both batteries installed, our radio control, and what's not included in the Ag Scout packages is an Android tablet. You'll need a 4G or data plan or some sort of hotspot in order to connect to DroneDeploy in the field. So make sure you get one of those. First thing you want to do is check your batteries to make sure they're all full. And the way you do that is just go ahead and press the power button on the controller and just make sure all the LEDs are lighting up. Same thing for the copter here. Press the power button. Sure enough, we have full battery power on all devices. Take your tablet, open it up, and go to the Google Play Store and download both the DroneDeploy app as well as the DJI Go app. So go in there, type in DJI Go, and download that. And then type in DroneDeploy and go ahead and download that app. Now while those are downloading, we're going to go and connect our tablet to the radio controller. So with your USB cord here, plug that into the back of the radio control, into the USB compartment. We'll set our tablet on the device holder and clamp it down. And last but not least, plug in our cord. Now when you plug in the USB or launch an application, it might ask you to debug the system, which just means your tablet, so it connects properly with the radio control. So make sure you do that before continuing. Go ahead and set this down. Now that that's all plugged in, and we'll set up the copter for flight. So I'll lift up the GPS puck here. This only applies to the Matrice 100, so if you don't have one of those, don't worry about it. I'm going to flip it around and make sure that we have an SD card in the camera, just so it can record data and photos and what it needs to while it's mapping. That all looks good. Now let's go ahead and turn on the system. So I'll do that by pressing once and then holding for 3 seconds on the radio control. Make sure you always do the radio control first. And then I'll actually have to spin this back around here. And we'll do the same with the Matrice. Make sure you start with the bottom, power that on, and then same for the top here. Now back to the tablet. Go ahead and turn it on. And we're actually going to go into the DJI Go app first. And the reason we do that, instead of going straight into DroneDeploy, is to check for calibration, as well as firmware updates and things that we might need to check before flying, and just making sure all the systems are in place so that it is ready to fly. So go ahead and launch that. And it should automatically connect once everything's on here. Go ahead and click Enter Camera View. And immediately you'll see a whole list of your aircraft status. So that'll go through whether you need a firmware update and the overall status. And then third one down, you'll see Compass. Go ahead and click Calibrate. And when you click Calibrate, you're going to want to take your copter here, turn it around so that the camera is facing away from you. Press OK. And turn the copter 360 degrees in a circle until you see the yellow light on the back turn green. Then face it down in front of you. And do the same thing like this until you see it flashing. So that green light should be flashing. That'll let you know that the compass calibration is done. So now that we've done that, it says safe to fly at the top in green. Make sure that you have adequate GPS signal and enough satellites to support DroneDeploy. Batteries at 98%, so we should be good to go. All right, so let's exit that application now that everything looks good. And make sure you fully exit the DJI Go app, as third-party applications cannot communicate with the copter simultaneously. So make sure that you're fully out of there before launching DroneDeploy. Also, before launching DroneDeploy, make sure that your radio control is in the F position on the back here, and we will click on DroneDeploy and open it up. So you can see that after connecting, it actually opens up to what looks like a Google map of where we're standing right now. You can see off to our left, we have this field here, and that's what we're going to be mapping today. There's a blue square overlaid onto the map, and that's going to be the outline of the map that you want to create. So we can take those corners and move them wherever we want. Let's say we want to just get this section of the map. And those green lines on the inside, that will be the flight route that the Ag Scout's going to take. Now before we press go, let's go ahead and go to the settings button in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. And you'll see plan altitude and high overlap settings. Plan altitude is going to control the height of the copter during its mapping mission. The higher you fly, the more acreage you're going to be able to cover. So if this can only fly for 30 minutes, the higher you fly, the more you're going to be able to cover in a single flight. However, that's going to lose out on image resolution. So if you fly lower, you're actually going to get a more precise image at the end of the day. Same thing with high overlap. If you turn high overlap on, it's actually going to make more passes over the field, which is more fit for precision agriculture use. So we'll go with the standard 246 feet on the altitude and turn high overlap on since we're going to be mapping this field behind us. You can exit out of there. And before we press the green check mark, we're going to go ahead and set the copter up for flight. As you can see, we haven't put the props on up until this point for a very specific reason. If you're ever flying and you're just setting things up, you want to make sure to wait until your last opportunity to put the props on, just for safety reasons. And these will go on the same for the Matrice and the Inspire. And make sure those are nice and locked in place. Then we will take the copter and move it to a nice open space, because it will be landing in the same spot when it is ready to come back from its flying mission. We'll grab our controller here and go ahead and press that green check mark. And as you can see, it pulls up categories that it needs to check off before it flies. So DJI Wi-Fi, controller, firmware, the state of the drone, GPS, mission, and the camera. If you have any trouble checking off any of these and it doesn't pass these categories, make sure to go to the DroneDeploy forums and check on what people have said about those specific categories, and you might be able to get help there. But for now, looks like we're all green and good to go. And you'll see the green check turn to a green airplane, and we'll go ahead and press go. Make sure you are backed away from the copter and the copter is facing away from you. If at any time you need to take over controls, go ahead and switch the mode to P on your controller, and you can go ahead and take over the controls at any time manually and bring it back to the ground. But for now, we're good to go. Go ahead and press that green button and watch it do its thing. So as you can see, the copter's on an automated flight path. You can see your battery in the lower left-hand corner there. If that gets anywhere from 20 to 30%, you're going to want to bring it back. So now it's done with its mission. It's going to go ahead and hover over its home point where it originally took off from and land autonomously back into that same place. So my hands are off the controls. It's coming down nice and easy. It's going to land all by itself and turn off. Wait for everything to turn off. Looks good. On my screen here it says it looks like it's captured 101 images. All right, and we're actually going to process those later. So now we're going to go into the studio and show you how to process the images and stitch them all together using DroneDeploy software. All right, so we're back in the studio with the Ag Scout, and I'm going to show you how to quickly download the images that we just took out in the field on its first mapping mission to DroneDeploy using your computer. Now please note, you actually can use DroneDeploy to download the images while you're out in the field, but you can only imagine with a 4G connection or some sort of data plan that's going to be quite a long process. So what we recommend is you just go back to your office or home and take the images and download them via computer with a stable Wi-Fi connection, and it's going to be much faster and it's going to process much quicker from there. So to start, same thing we had in the field. We have our copter, a laptop of course, stable Wi-Fi connection, and this is a card reader. You can use, this is one that supports multiple different cards, so it's a lot bigger, but you can use any card reader for a micro SD card. So let's go ahead and take the card out of the copter carefully, and we'll plug it into the card reader here, and we'll go ahead and plug that other end into your computer. Alright, so we'll actually go online to DroneDeploy.com. So type that into your search bar here, DroneDeploy.com/sign in, SIGNIN. Hit enter. And so processing these images requires that you have a DroneDeploy subscription. So if you don't have one, go ahead and click on the not signed up yet and follow the instructions. You can get a 30-day free trial. We also offer packages on our website. We're going to go ahead and use our login here. All right, so it pulls up the DroneDeploy dashboard. You can actually fly a mission using this dashboard online on any of your devices. But as you can see on the top here, we have the mission. It's definitely the right one, but if you want to double check and make sure it's the right one, just go to the right side here. There's that triangle. Hit flight log. And it actually logs the entire data from your flight earlier. You can actually check out the altitude, airspeed, ground speed. So you can do a flight playback using the play button here, and it will actually go through exactly what your flight looked like. But right now we're looking at uploading images, so we'll actually go back to the main page here, to the dashboard. And right next to that triangle that you access the flight log, there will be an upload button. With everything plugged in, we'll go ahead and click select photos. And then you're going to need to find the card reader on your computer. Looks like it's removable disk here. Open up the folders until you find the right date and time of the images. It's pretty easy to find if you can locate what time your flight was, then we can upload those. So we'll go ahead and click open here, select all of those, click open. And with the AgScout series, you'll notice that majority of the images will be this bluish pink color. So they're not usable for standard RGB color images. But once this downloads and stitches together with the DroneDeploy software, you'll actually have the ability to just click on NDVI, and we'll show you that in a little bit here. But for now, we're just going to wait until this finishes, and we'll get back when it is done uploading those images. Alright, so looking at my screen here, I could see that the images have all downloaded, and you can tell by the cloud icon right next to the camera icon here, they both say 101, so 101 photos have uploaded. And we're going to go ahead and rename this really quick to Tutorial 1. And now, this, what used to say upload here on the right hand side, now either says processing or map. If it says processing, that still means that it needs more time to stitch the photos together into the map. But if it says map, that means it's ready to look at. And it does say map here, so we're going to go ahead and click on that. After all the images have uploaded, you will need some more time to make sure that everything is stitched together and processed before you can view the final map. So open this up here, and there you go. It's all stitched together just the way we outlined it in the field. As you can see, this is a very detailed image. At its max resolution, we're looking at up to 2 centimeters per pixel. There's a drop-down menu right here on the left, and you easily just click on NDVI, and it's already processed. So on this image, looks like there's some stress in the upper left-hand corner here, but you're going to be able to get more information once you export this map and this data into more third-party applications. But you can get a pretty good idea of what's going on, and you can track your progress and the status of the crop just by using this one platform. What we can also do is go ahead and click the share button up in the top menu here in order to share the map with anyone via email. So they'll actually receive a message that tells them that you've shared the map with them, and they can take a look at it from there. Or you can even use the export function in the top menu here to export the data or the map into any third-party application or software depending on your specific agricultural use. So that's mapping with DroneDeploy. As you can see, it's a very easy process, about 2 hours processing from start to finish. If you have any questions about the Ag Scout series, feel free to give us a call or send us an email at contact@AerialMediaPros.com. Until then, be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and we'll see you next time.